Hey guys, I'm Holly Schindler, author of the young adult novel Spark. My readers are always asking me what parts of my books have been ripped from real life, and for the most part, I borrow from my own physical surroundings in order to help build a sense of local color. And when authors refer to local color, what they're really talking about is a process through which they create a setting that is not just backdrop, but is vital and vibrant and just as essential to their stories as their characters. In Spark, the Avery Theater, which is a fictional theater, is based on the vintage theaters here in my hometown, and the square where the Avery is located is also based on some squares in some small towns here in southwest Missouri. Let me take you on a tour.
I'm a lifelong Missouri girl. I live in the southwest corner of the state and have always been surrounded by small town squares, like this one in Ozark. This is exactly what I pictured when creating the setting of Spark. Streets laid out in a literal square, lined by early 20th century buildings. But instead of active businesses facing the sidewalks, I imagined long empty storefronts, an area on the verge of becoming a ghost town. The Springfield-Greene County Library District's postcard collection provides a great historical view of the square in Springfield. The first image is a bit older than the historic sections of Spark, which take place in 1947. The back of this postcard dates the image from 1917 or 1918, so the cars aren't quite right. But what's great about it is that it provides an almost aerial view of the kind of town square I was out to depict in Spark. The second postcard image is really right on as far as the timing of Spark. It's believed to predate 1947, but it can't be by much. These cars are the same shape and vintage of the vehicles I imagined pulling up to the front of the Avery Theater. Also, I love the caption on the back of this image because it indicates that the retail district of Springfield was centered around the square. The square really was once the heartbeat of a town. It was a bustling place, and not just during weekdays when residents were running errands. The streets of the square could be absolutely packed on Saturday nights. It's a time to get out, meet up with your friends. It's where you took your date. So it's realistic to imagine that when my fictional Avery closed, eliminating a kind of social hotspot, the rest of the nearby businesses in my fictional Verona would struggle as well. As far as the Avery itself is concerned, my area has several vintage theaters that I was seeing in my mind's eye as I set out to describe it. Our Galois, seen here, has a great old marquee. Just what I was picturing when I described the neon lights of the Avery, shooting sparks and coming back to life. The Galois has quite the history. In the 1950s, it was such a popular place, even Elvis Presley came to watch a movie before performing later that night at a nearby venue, and it hosted a couple of premieres for movies starring Ronald Reagan. But it did close in the 80s and fall into disrepair and had to undergo some extensive renovation, and that process was certainly in my mind as well as I was piecing together the story of the Avery. The Landers Theater has been in operation either as a movie theater or stage theater since it opened in 1909. It's been the home of the Springfield Little Theater since the 70s, and I saw several stage productions there as I was growing up, letting me know exactly what Quinn felt like to sit in the Avery seats and watch something magical play out on stage. I actually find myself gravitating toward theaters with some age to them. In fact, the day I got my master's degree, I wanted to celebrate by driving to nearby Aurora, seeing a movie in the Princess Theater, which opened in the 1940s. I saved my best image for last. This is the Fox, back when it was called the Electric, courtesy of the Springfield History Museum. Again, we see a theater with a fantastic marquee. We see, too, that there are two shows to catch, one on the stage and one on the screen, which is also how the Avery operates in Spark. If you look to the right, there appears to be a clothing store with several hats in the front display. This could very easily be the fictional Hatties depicted in Spark as well. I love the way the Electric's lit up. Love those posters advertising the current shows running inside. You really get a sense of how alive and exciting the theater was, how really important it was to those who were living in Springfield at the time. Now we take for granted being able to download and watch anything on demand. But back then, before TV even, we depended on the theater for entertainment. The theater was special. We dressed up to go see a movie or a stage play. This image, in all its lit up glory, really begins to give you a sense of why I felt drawn to writing about the magic of the theater.
Infusing your work with local color can really help a story come to life. but it also helps you build characters as well. Because as you're creating that sense of local color, you wind up asking yourself, well, what kind of traditions take place in this town? What are the customs? How do people dress? Do they only dress this way because of the weather? Obviously people who live in Alaska dress differently than people in Florida, but is there another reason, a deeper reason? You begin to realize that your characters interact with the setting every bit as much as they interact with each other. And that all begins with building that strong sense of local color. Give it a shot. Do a local color sketch of your own. Get outside, take a walk, and look at your hometown as though you've never seen it before. Pretend you're a visitor and you're crossing the city limits for the first time. Really force yourself to figure out what it is that you think makes your own hometown unique. And then take a day and let everybody in class read out loud what they've come up with. I'm betting that everyone will have a slightly different take on that assignment. It's a great project because you get some fantastic writing practice in, and you begin to realize that local color is never simply one shade.